What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Redkacheek. It's a bright and sunny Monday morning here in Florida, and we are going to talk through the BMW Championship at Caves Valley Golf Club, Caves Valley. Second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. We only got this week and next week for the Tour Championship, and then Ryder Cup, and then back into the fall swing. I know everybody's kind of getting excited about football, which is fair. I need to do some best ball drafts. I have a couple tickets, but I haven't sat down to do it yet. So I need to take the time to go draft a few, obviously losing best ball teams. So, happy to have you guys on. We're going to talk through the golf course, which is a very unique one. Obviously, 1 year of data from 2021, but hopefully we can dissect this a little bit. Interestingly enough, the last time it was played here, there was a lot of live guys, and a lot of live guys did pretty well. So it's interesting. I mean, just anecdotally, seeing how far they fell off in the last couple of years, besides Bryson, there's a bunch of guys you'll see in the 2021 leaderboard that are no longer on the PGA Tour, and honestly, are not really relevant on live either. But let's dive into the golf course and let's talk about it. This shouldn't take too long because it's a smaller field of 50, and we have 1 year of data. So some of this we'll talk through and try to make our best, well, not our assumptions, but there's some changes to the golf course, one, and then obviously with 1 year of data, we could definitely, and it's a limited field, that doesn't help. We could probably get an idea of which of these maybe is a little bit loose and we can be more broad, or think this is really the direction the course is going to continue to go. So let's go ahead and dive into the course preview. Really quick too, for those watching, obviously, if you're listening, I can still talk somewhat decently. The Caves Valley Golf Club, if you look at the top left on the Course Preview Pro, you'll see a button now for Weather IQ. If you click this button, you will now be taken to our new Weather IQ page. So you don't have to go look around for forecasts for the weather for Showdown, the full week slate, Monday or Thursday, Friday for weather splits. This is all kind of baked in together with some analysis on the AM wave and the PM wave. So you can check that out. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit, added the text a little bit bigger to read, and then try to do hourly for the next day forecast. So like if, we're sitting here on Monday, I can see the Monday forecast, and we're looking at Thursday, the every couple hour forecast is probably sufficient. But by Wednesday, I would probably want to look at hourly for the Thursday slate at least. So a couple things there, but this is all free. You can go to the Course Preview Pro and click Weather IQ button, and it'll take you right there. So let's talk about the golf course. Like I said, there's only one winner, 2021, Patrick Cantley at minus 27, which is exceptionally low. Do not expect that again this year as far as a return to par winning score, 27 under, for a couple of reasons. One is quite simply, they took two of the par fives and turned them into par fours. So that's going to take 4-8 shots off of this. So a minus 27 was realistically a minus 19. That's number one. It's still a pretty good score, honestly. Minus 19, minus 20 on a 7,600 yard golf course. That is number two. Is the yardage is 75.42 from 21. They added about 60 yards. It is actually tipped out at 76.02 or 76.01. I'm sorry. So two things in play from 21. One is the course par was decreased. Hole 2 is a par 4, played over half a shot under par. So we'll see where they put the tees there. But I mean, okay, I played half a shot, almost 0.6 shots under par as a par 5. That means it's going to play 0.4 shots over par for a par 4. That's pretty high. And then hole 12 is the same thing. And it played half a shot under par. That means it's going to play half a shot over par for a par 4. So I imagine they have to do a few things differently. I'm not a big fan of taking a par 5 design and turning it into a par 4. Generally speaking, the par 5 greens are set up for second shots being difficult, not second shots on par 4s being somewhat receptive. So we'll see how it plays out. But those are the two main changes in terms of the scorecard, which are pretty big from a scoring perspective, I'll say. Like number 2 and 12 being par fours instead of fives definitely negates some of the scoring opportunities and probably gives a bump up. Although it's still like the same score, I would say, having a shorter club into those long par fours is going to be helpful. Again, it's 2 holes out of 18. It's not going to be like a huge difference maker. But I still think if I was going to go play this golf course after 2021, and now I know 2 of those medium length, almost long length. I don't know what they're going to, what's second? 589? Yeah. So they shortened it a little bit. So it's actually 530 or so. But it's still going to be a very long hole. Average par 3, 215. Average par 4, 433. Par 5 is going to change. Average par 5 is 585. So the biggest thing here is imagine par 70, 7,600 yards. That's pretty big. It's pretty big. And we're not at elevation. This is going to be a pretty thorough test for sure. So we'll look at the lead-in stats here in just a second. A few of the stats here. Overall, this golf course plays extremely easy, which is funny. I think people think about long golf courses being tough, which they can present themselves as being tough, but it just depends on the rest of the golf course. But you can see here, average driving distance 306. It's up 7 yards. It has to be. It's a long golf course. Driving accuracy also up quite a lot, 66%. Doesn't necessarily have to, but this kind of just shows the ease of the golf course. It's going to be a lot of drivers, heavy off the tee, and fairly forgiving. The missed fairway penalty is down 0.1, which is massive. So this is extremely easy off the tee. Not a lot of penalty off the tee. It's huge. Distance penalty is down, which I found surprising. Almost 50% down. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. I don't know if it's because everybody at this stage of the FedEx Cup playoffs, trying to give a nod, I guess, a little bit. But at this point, everybody is pretty long. Like if you're one of the best 50 on the PGA Tour, you're not going to be short. So it's probably a little bit of the distance penalty not just coming into play where all these guys are reasonably the same distance. Like the field average drive and the bottom 5 guys are probably within 5 or 10 yards. Like it's probably not a huge difference. So distance penalty was not a big difference maker. Proximity to holes up a little bit, not a big deal. Everything else you can see here is green. Green regulation's up. Green regulation from the fairway and the rough, or I should say from the rough is way up. Scrambling is way up. So that kind of points to putting being a pretty easy as well. So we'll dive into the specific breakouts. But all in all, this golf course is very long, but it's also very easy. So bombers definitely can have an advantage. And you can see that here in the correlations. So birdie or better was the number 1 highest correlation for lead-in stats. Pretty massive difference, actually. And it's funny to see how it changes over the course of a few weeks, where if you think back to like the Wyndham Championship or the 3M Open, where bogey avoidance was a pretty high lead-in stat indicator just due to the field depth. Looking at guys that don't make a lot of bogeys probably are going to be better players. In this scenario where you have a lot of the best players, let's just assume they're all the best players. Birdie or better is the difference maker. So the guys that had the most, especially recent form, last 3 months, making the most birdies had the most success here. The rest are pretty straightforward. Total strokes gained off the tee gets a big bump up, which makes sense. Off the tee here is pretty big. Driving distance is also way up, which was not the case the last couple weeks. IQ stat is down. So I would say, honestly, you could go down to green and regulation, I guess, with IQ stat, but you could really just focus on birdie or better, total strokes gained off the tee, add in tee to green, I guess, is an overall encompassing stat, and then driving distance. Like those 5 will be massive. And we can look at that here in just a second. Distributions, course comparisons. Let's take winner out. You can see it's somewhat comical when you have 1 year and a player has gained, what did he gain in 2021? putting he gained 15 strokes putting. Fantastic. So if we take the winner out, you can kind of see the distribution here. It is a putting contest. Off the tee has some advantages. Approach, not as much. Around the green, none. It's really like putting, off the tee, and then approach. Those 1, 2, 3. Driving distance distribution, the thing most people really enjoy. This golf course is very long. So 290 to 310, there are 8 tee shots. So those are all drivers. 310 to 330, there's another 3. So between 290 and 330, and we can even look at I bet these are all over 300. Yeah, 297, ironically enough, right on the dot for a couple of these holes. So 297 to 316, there are 11 tee shots. So 11 of 14 tee shots are literally 300, 310. So definitely heavy on the drivers. I would not be worried about these less than driver holes. So hole 11 is 238. Hole 1 is 255. Hole 18 is 289. Honestly, probably a driver. So there's 12 drivers. And they're all pretty much bombs away, in my opinion. Like 310 as an average and 300 as an average, that's a heavy average for a PGA Tour event. So drivers. That's the easy thing to talk about. Approach distance distribution, very interesting mix here. Obviously, being so long, this 200 plus category is huge. It's probably approaching 50% this year. 50 to 125 is pretty high, which is also surprising. I think that'll go down a little bit this year with the par fives being reduced, and then 175 to 200 about 20%. So honestly, 175 to 200 and then 200 to 225 plus is going to be 70% of the approach shot. So this is a pretty simple dynamic here with really good drivers gaining a lot off the tee. Not so concerned with accuracy or distance necessarily. If I can look at strokes gained off the tee or spectrum off the tee for these 2 buckets, and then just let me see who is, reasonably good from 175 to 200 and 200 plus. I think that's the simplest way to go about it this week. And obviously, if you're using the stat model, you use the things we just talked about. Birdie or better, strokes gained off the tee, total strokes gained. Just look at recent form and guys making a lot of birdies. And that had the biggest indicator for success for lead-in stats. Lead-in form for Patrick Cantlay right here. You can see, and honestly, you could go back if we looked at 2021. Let's see. If we go back to 2021, you can see he won the very good BMW Championship and Tour Championship in 21. You can see his lead-in form. He won the Memorial, playing pretty well. Approach, and this is spectrum, so depending on what you guys want to look at, this is strokes gained. Pretty good on approach. Really, really good off the tee. Really good off the tee. I think when we go to look at the time machine, that'll just be like, we'll just look at off the tee. I bet that's probably pretty strong, to be honest. Putting was a big spike for the BMW Championship. So there's some give and take there in putting. That's probably not super predictive, and that's why it wasn't on the correlations chart. Approach around the green, interesting. And then off the tee looks like the common denominator there. Off the tee, off the tee, off the tee. All right. And those are the overall lead-in stats for him. Obviously was green across the board, but just trying to look through his recent results to see if anything stood out specifically. And honestly, he was playing really well at that point. Off the tee looks like his biggest advantage for sure. All right. Rest of this 2021 guys in the field. We got Cantlay, Sungjae, Rory, Sam Burns. They all finished in the top 10. JT, Corey Connors, Scotty Scheffler, Victor Holland all finished in the top 25. And then I'm not going to read off everybody else, but you can look at that for 2021. These are the stats for that year. And I am curious about putting really quick. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Definitely a lot more putts made outside of 10 feet here. So in the top 10, 27% of putts outside of 10 feet were made versus 18.9% for a top 10 finisher. This is everybody that was in the field basically. So yeah, these greens are exceptionally easy to make some putts. Nothing crazy there. So let's take again, we should try to keep this show concise with only 50 guys in the field. Let's take a look at these lead and stat correlations. Birdie or better, total, strokes gain, off the tee to green, driving distance, just 5. And let's go take a peek at 2021. Should be easy since we only have 1 year. We'll go into the Stat Model Pro. Let's make a new model. And this is called 2025 BMW Champ Podcast. So let's save that model. Let's do let's see here. We want tee to green, total, off the tee. Could do spectrum, but for sake of confusion, I'll just leave that off. And then we want birdie or better. I don't want bogey avoidance, which is interesting. And we're not going to worry about IQ stats. So what do we have here? I think that is it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. What am I missing? Birdie or better, tee to green, off the tee, total, and driving distance. There it is. Off the tee, driving distance. There we go. Apply. So that's our current thing. Let's go to Time Machine 2021. Let's go look at the BMW Championship. And this is the position. Let's do a weighted ranking really quick. Let's just do an even spread. And let's add a little more to birdie or better just because it was a little bit higher. So let's do 20, 25. Let's do 30 and normalize it. Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay. So if we ran this in 2021, this is just straight last 12 events, last 24 rounds. You got Bryson, number 1, John Rahm, number 2. They both finished in the top 10. Rory was number 6, finished 4th. DJ 7th and finished 6th. Patrick won the event and was 14th. Honestly, not too surprising when you look at he gained 15 strokes putting. I think this is pretty fair if we're being completely honest. Sungjae kind of came out of nowhere. Eric Van Rooyen kind of came out of nowhere. Off the tee is probably, Eric Van Rooyen and Sungjae weren't playing great at that point. So there's really nothing. You could look at their lead in stats here, going in Liberty National. I wish they would go back there. I kind of like that place. Wyndham Championship, Liberty National, like decent finishes, but not doing much. Definitely not driving distance. So driving distance might be a bigger factor. Let's look at EVR. Yes and no. I guess it's still a mixed bag. So that is what it would have looked like. We can sort by model. You would have had the second place finisher, 4th, first down here a little bit. The worst finishers was Keith Mitchell. Driving distance off the tee was good. Birdie or better. So I think even though the correlations show this was the biggest, I would probably add approach. And the reason why is a guy like Keith Mitchell, who's exceptional off the tee. You could even do proximity like over 200. You can add that and just see what this looks like. Let's see if that helps. No, not really. We got because Bryson's proximity from 175 to 200, 200 plus wasn't great. Cameron Champ's proximity from 200 plus was pretty good, and he played terrible. Jonathan Vegas was the same thing. So yeah, I mean that's why we do the lead in correlations, because it just the analysis shows that's not important. It's really interesting. So what I would do is probably just take out the proximities. Let's just leave in approach really quick. Let's see. That was a little bit of a misstep on my part. I thought maybe I could get greedy and see what it would do. Let's do. Okay. With approach added in, yeah, a little bit better. You still get 6 guys inside the top 10 or 5 guys inside the top 10, a couple stragglers that didn't do well, Vegas and Keith Mitchell. Again, it goes back to my point from a couple weeks ago. Even, this is just 1 year. So sample size is small. And that kind of helps our case in this scenario, because we can finite look at the specific stats for that year and not year over year over year. And there's nothing specific that you could just go through one at a time and say, yep, this was the perfect combination. There's always going to be guys, and this is a 70-man field, I guess. It was not going to be a very good, not everybody in the top 10 was going to do exceptionally well. So just the way it goes. And there's likely guys down here at the bottom, Sung Jae, Eric Van Rooyen. You're probably going to miss it if you're too strict. So you just kind of got to keep an eye on that. But yeah, this is pretty good, honestly. And that's what the data shows. So birdie or better, you could go through each of these one at a time. Pretty good. Driving distance, if you just wanted to look at driving distance, all these guys were pretty good in the model. Mostly good. Tee to green, not so much. Off the tee, a little better. So you can go through one at a time. Approach, awful. There you go. So like of all the things, approach, everyone loves to hit on approach. And it's important, but it's different depending on the course that they've been playing and what they're going to play this week. So player IQ and the approach IQ tool this week, I think, is very valuable for that specific scenario. So you can see in the top 15 guys, top 14 guys in strokes gained approach leading into this event, only one finished better than T25. Like, that's terrible. So yeah, off the tee is huge this week. Approach, a big bump down, especially considering what courses they've been playing. So that's a really cool example. I might dive into more of that, because that's a very good example of where approach could be misleading depending on what courses they've been playing and what matters at the course they're about to go play. So I'm actually going to save this, and then I think we're good to go, guys. Again, if you go to the IQ tools, player IQ or approach IQ is where I would spend most of my time this week. If you're going to build a simple stat model, birdie or better, strokes gained off the tee, driving distance, strokes gained total, strokes gained tee to green. Very simple. So hopefully that helps. We talked through a few of the guys. I'll do another show this week, or I'll just include it in my article since it's only 50 guys. But yeah, hopefully that helps. It's an interesting golf course. Looking forward to seeing it again and see how the changes kind of affect the scoring this week. But I think we got a pretty narrow path to success. If we can kind of keep our focus and stay in our lane, we'll have a really good week. So hopefully that helps. Check out the player IQ and approach IQ tool at fantasygolfbag.com. I think that's going to be massive this week as well, especially the approach side. And then best of luck. You can check us out at fantasygolfbag.com, and you can hop in the Discord and chat with all of us. Try to hit some winners. All right, guys. Best of luck. See ya.